I love hearing how God is working in the lives of people. And that is, as a church, we talk every week pretty much about the life-changing grace and truth of Jesus, seeing the kindness and the truth of Jesus changing lives in real ways. And we've already seen that this morning. And one of the things coming up starting this Thursday is called Steps to Thrive. And this is a program that is starting here at the church on Thursday nights that is enabling people to, just as it sounds like, take steps toward recovery, relying on Jesus to transform and bring life change for them. And what we wanted to do this morning, realizing that it, for many people, for most of us, would be a huge step to just show up and say, hey, hi, I need recovery in this area. I have addiction or dysfunction in this area. It would be really helpful to know the guy a little bit who is going to be leading it. And so we wanted to allow Kyle Gannon to share just a little bit of his story with you. And so we welcome Kyle up.
Thanks, Micah. So my name's Kyle. I'm the least good-looking one of the three up there. So I grew up in a small town in Montana, way over on the eastern side of the state called Glendive. Many of you probably don't even know where it is because it's pretty much North Dakota over there. But from about the age of 12 or 13 on into my adolescence or into my early 20s, mid-20s, I fell deeper and deeper into the pits of my addiction, which is to alcohol and drugs. And it pretty much, I grew up in a good Christian Lutheran home, like many of us have. And my parents did all the right things to get me on the right track, but it didn't matter to me because what was up in here was what I thought was the way to go. So I just spent the better part of 15 years separating myself farther and farther from my relationship with God. And but as the kids mentioned up here, he didn't go anywhere. He was always there, and he always loved me, and he was always just trying to help me out and help me find the right path. Well, at the age of 25, I got in a really, really bad car wreck, and it's nothing short of a witness to his miracle that I'm even standing here today, let alone walking and talking. And by virtue of that, it jump-started my process towards my recovery from my addiction, as well as a closer relationship with him. I spent the early years of my recovery going to AA meetings and NA meetings and all the associated anonymous meetings that I could think of to try to find a recovery that fits for me, and none of them really fit what I was looking for, because what I was looking for was not just recovery, but also to rebuild my relationship with Christ that I had spent so many years destroying. Well, about 8 years ago, my wife and I moved to Spokane from here for a job, and that led me to a meeting over there that did just that. It showed me that there's truly a possibility to have a Christ-based meeting, recovery meeting, that fits all the criteria that I was looking for. And so when we moved back here a little over a year ago, back home to Missoula, I knew I needed to find something like that. And the Steps to Thrive meeting that is starting here is just that. The hope of that meeting is that folks will not only be able to find freedom from their addictions and destructive behaviors like I did, but also be able to either begin a relationship with Christ or rejuvenate it and be truly transformed through him and through that process. So that's what makes this meeting different than what's out there right now in Missoula. Is it truly is a Christ-based meeting, and each week we'll take time to talk about the 12 steps, but we'll also talk about the connection between the 12 steps and the Word of God, and how the two of them are so intertwined, it's unmistakable to notice. So, and through that process, the hope is that we'll not only obtain or remain in recovery from whatever addiction we're suffering from, but also that we'll continue to rejuvenate and grow and be transformed through Christ. And that's the ultimate goal, is that we can all continue to grow and thrive in him and become true disciples of Jesus. So that's the gist of it, and that's a very, very abbreviated version of my story. So hopefully I'll see some folks there Thursday. If not, I'll be there by myself having coffee. So it'll be good. So.
Kyle, thank you. So if someone is sitting here this morning and they're thinking, that's probably not for me. Because I think about the potential for freedom that God has for people and the attack of the enemy to do whatever he can to keep people from taking a step. Maybe saying, well, I'm not an alcoholic. So if somebody has a question and says, hey, I don't know if this is for me, can they reach out to you and say, hey, should I come to this thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, absolutely. It's the thing is people hear the word addiction and they think, well, I'm not fill in the blank with what because I don't do this. And the thing is many of us have the same wiring in our brains, and many of us have the same default that the enemy's using to try to break us down. It just might show itself in different ways. And my issue isn't with alcohol and drugs. My issue is with my head and my thought process. So nobody's issue is with the substance or whatever it is that they choose to use. It's just the avenue in which we take to get there. So, but absolutely, if you have questions about it, anything, don't hesitate to, come up and talk to me afterwards, or just stop in Thursday or whatever and get my contact info, and I'd be happy to sit down and talk with you and find out if this is a good fit for you.
Thank you, Kyle.